What up? Hello, everybody. My name is Maria Weiler, and I am here with my dear friend, Meryl Wilson. This is the Bold Women Podcast, and today is a treat. For those of you who listen, this is
a much anticipated
episode. But before we get into that,
Heyo, we're on social media.
I didn't know that. I'm just kidding.
Do you guys like our reels? I've been putting out a lot of them.
You've been
Let me know what you guys think.
crunching those out.
I mean, it's just because I don't have any like great video, because when we come and record, I never look my best.
Same.
And I think the plan is eventually to get to video at some point, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just not in a space to do it right now.
Does anybody want to run our social media so Meryl doesn't have to? We can't pay you right now, but
We can't pay you aside from compliments.
we can maybe buy you dinner from time to time. So just think about it. Let us know.
Think about it, let us know. But yeah, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're pretty much anywhere you want to find us. We're here.
Scripture says knock or seek and you shall find.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Ding dong. All right, well, let's get to it. Well, this is our favorite.
Our favorites. Our season catch up. We're catching up.
This is the best. This is the best type of episode. Honestly, aside from the strange stories. I love doing
strange stories. And I love the Ask the Counselor one.
Yeah, those are good
Those
ones.
are some of my favorite.
Yeah,
the strange story ones always get me too, where I'm like, what?
I love having Byron on and chatting
I know,
with us
love
about
it.
those stories. They're a good time.
And Byron, feel free if you have any, because of what
If
we're
you have
talking about
commentary
today, hop in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are kind of going over a few different things. As you all know from the listeners, Meryl loves a good true crime.
We're in like a little legal-ish kind of vibe today.
Yeah, so we are going to look at outrageous legal things. And we're going to go from there.
Some that should be illegal,
be illegal, and some where it's
FBI, open up!
what? Ah! Not the dogs. Anyways, all right. So, we are located in Kansas City, and there's Kansas City, Kansas, and there's Kansas City, Missouri. So
distinct difference.
We're
a border town.
So what I found was there are 11 outrageous laws in Kansas that I just wanted to talk about real quick.
Thanks, Misha Phelps.
Thank you, Misha. Appreciate you.
Who did all the research
and
for
posted
this article.
I just Googled it.
Yeah.
Number 1, in Topeka, it is against the law to scream in a haunted house.
How do you?
I scream all the time.
Not do that.
I loathe haunted houses, but when I go, I definitely scream. Also in Topeka, maybe we shouldn't just move to Topeka. It's against the law.
You have to pay a toll to get there. Who wants to go there?
I have the K tag.
Ugh. Well, yeah, you got to go there for work.
Yeah, I gotta go there for work. Anyway, so in Topeka,
our capital.
it is against the law to sing in the streets at night. If you wanted to whistle a tune, you can technically be arrested for causing a disturbance.
They like it quiet there. No screaming.
No singing. Shut your mouth.
Lock it up.
Okay. All right. In Lawrence, which is closer to us, it's illegal to wear a bee in your hat. I don't know what that means.
I don't really know what to say about that one.
Okay.
Wear a
like
bee.
A bumblebee?
Are you going to
or like a letter B?
Well, it says B-E-E.
Double E.
But
maybe.
Was that a typo, or
I don't know.
I don't know who would just like put a
bee in their hat.
A bee in their hat.
All right. In many cities in Kansas,
they could be endangered, and they don't want you to mess up the population of bees.
Well, yes,
well,
but I'm
they
not
kind of
sure
are
why you would put a bee in your hat.
Well, some people like bees.
All right,
they are kind of cute. Minus the stinger.
Disagree.
The little bumble ones that like they're just kind of float. They're cute.
No.
All right. So many cities in Kansas, it's expressly illegal to spit on a sidewalk. So no hawking loogies.
But didn't provide us the many cities. Thanks.
I just said many.
Thanks, Misha.
Misha, come on, girl.
Come on.
Okay. In Derby, Kansas, it is illegal to hit a vending machine that stole your money. It is an understandable urge, but not worth going to jail for. Do you ever try to reach your hand up and be like, come on, get it? I remember that in high school.
They're
and then
trying to
we would
get you to practice a fruit of the spirit of self-control.
Self-control. Do you remember trying to tip the one in our cafeteria?
Yeah, that's
all the time.
because you can get the dang sodas just stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And in Russell, Kansas, musical car horns are banned. Sorry, Tesla.
Oh.
Um,
Well, you guys better not do that.
Better not do that. For cat lovers and living in Wellington, you're technically allowed to have more than 4
Not
cats.
allowed.
Not allowed to have more than 4 cats in your household. Back to Topeka.
That should be everywhere. You should. That
Meryl's
should be.
no.
That should be everywhere. You should not be permitted to have more than 4 cats anywhere inside your home.
You're like, ever.
Anywhere in the country. No. Just gonna leave it.
What about a farm?
They're usually outside, so
Little
yeah,
micers.
but inside, no.
Inside. Okay. We're going back to Topeka for number 8.
Okay, what do we got?
Snowball fights are illegal in Topeka.
What?
So keep your mouth shut and don't have fun in the winter.
They hate noise and they hate fun. They hate
Right.
fun in Topeka, Kansas. It turns out.
All right, back to Lawrence. Upon entering the city limits of Lawrence, you must sound your car horn to warn the horses of your arrival. So that would have
must
been
be
for
old, but not something that has apparently been removed.
from their law base. Number 10 in Derby, people are not allowed to screech their car tires while driving. No donuts,
No burning rubber.
burnouts, or anything. And then last but not least, in Natoma, practice of throwing knives at men in striped suits is prohibited. So there you go.
No more knife practicing against inmates, I guess.
Oh.
Knife throwing at inmates.
Speaking of
is
knife
not
throwing,
permitted.
I did rewatch Divergent the other day, and they have that scene where they throw the knives at her.
I have not watched that show.
So, anyways,
So don't know what you're talking about.
all right, on to the good stuff. I feel like that was just a warm up,
Yeah.
but what I saw next, I can never unsee again.
I can't unsee it either. And this actually, at the time of this recording, this was sent to me earlier in the day. And a friend of mine, Melissa.
Shout out to you, Melissa.
Super great. She actually went to high school with us. There's very few people that I talk to from high school still. She is one of them.
Hey, girl.
And she's hilarious. But she just, out of nowhere, just sends the screenshots, doesn't say anything. Just doesn't say anything. Just waits for us to respond.
I'm literally cackling looking at this.
So she found something on Facebook Marketplace. And I'm just going to read the description. And it says, "Love my dogs, but they scare the grandchildren. Selling to a loving home. Will not give them to my no good liberal grandchildren." And the details.
That's the description, guys.
Yeah. The
But
condition,
then-
the condition of the dogs are used like new. And meetup preferences, West Des Moines, Iowa area. Well, okay. So I look at the next screenshot, and to my surprise, the title of this is "Selling My Stuffed Dogs, Frisbee and Cooter."
Discounted from $100 to $80.
Guys, let me tell you something. Okay. Do you all remember the story, the movie, Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
And the rose is like floating in the glass thing.
Yep.
Okay? Okay, here's what's pictured on this ad. It's 2 of those. And there are 2 there are 2 dog heads.
Like
stuffed dog heads.
Not like a stuffed animal, like a taxidermied.
Like taxidermied dog head. This person had their dog's heads stuffed. And it's scaring the grandkids, understandably.
Reasonably so.
But will not give... I don't know what Melissa said. She goes, I don't know what politics has anything to do with this, but will not give them my no good liberal grandchildren. Well, it says that scares them, so I don't know why they would
probably
even
wouldn't
want them in the first place.
And she's selling them to a loving home.
Loving home. Okay.
My thought, she's got to pet these things. Why?
Probably.
I would assume.
Also, I mean, I've heard people joke around about like, oh, I love my dog so much. Like, I've thought about, should I like stuff them? And then they're like, well, that would be weird.
That would be
you
weird.
know, like that'd
Yeah.
be weird. So no. This person went and did it, and not just the heads.
It's not like it's a full dog like curled up on a blanket that they can remember. It's
I literally just clicked on it and said, "Is this still available?"
Did you really?
Yeah,
Stop,
see.
Byron.
So
You
You
messaged her?
sent a
Yeah.
message.
is this still available? I want to know. I'll do
Wow.
it for 50.
Stop.
No,
If-
you
okay,
won't.
No. If for some reason Maryl and I at Christmas time open up packages and it's those two dang dog heads, or we walk into the studio and Byron has those two
They're
dog
just on the
heads,
shelves here.
I will be done.
I will. Oh my gosh.
Byron, do not waste your money on these dog
Also,
heads.
how do you ship this? Well, you can't. Probably not.
I would
don't
guess
think.
not.
You can't do remains in the mail.
You'd have to go meet her in Des Moines.
You'd have to go meet Jean in Des Moines.
This is outrageous.
I-
And just
People
the looks on these dogs' faces, guys.
I think this is just wild. There's no limit to what people think they
No
can
limit.
reasonably sell.
What's okay? Outside of this, what's been one of the weirdest things you've seen sold online?
I don't look at stuff like that.
Yeah,
So I don't even have Facebook. So
Yeah, that's true.
that's why I was like, Melissa, anytime
Anytime.
you see something like this,
Melissa, if
please
you're
send it to me.
listening, seriously, keep us.
Thank you, first
thank
of
you.
all. What surprising
Please just keep sending us these. Or if
surprising
or if you listeners come across anything that's outrageous in your area that's being sold,
you want us
send it to
to
us.
discuss it? Cause
you want Byron to see if it's still available. Let us know.
Byron, have you received anything? No. Okay.
She
Well,
doesn't
maybe
want to.
we'll
She doesn't
update.
want to depart with them, so she's probably not checking on it.
Maybe we'll update at some point. It's just, guys, this is
This
the
is-
weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, if you have Facebook Marketplace, type in Frisbee and Cooter stuffed dogs.
Send me screenshots in our Instagram DMs if you find something weird like this, because I just want to know what people are up to.
Me too.
I gotta know.
Do we want to
there's
know,
just-
or are we like,
yes.
do we want to be creeped out? Like, people are not well.
I think we need to expose people. And Jean, today's your day.
Jean, don't sell your dog's head.
Jean in Des Moines. What is going on?
They don't remember you. Is that awful to say?
Well, just put them in the garage. Why you
Yeah.
got them out displayed?
I seriously am going to laugh if we walk into the studio one day and those dang dogs are sitting one on each side of that shelf.
Byron's going to be like, I can't record tonight. And we'll be like, why? And he'll be like, I'm out of town.
Liz, that display would have a lovely light over the top of it.
Oh, my
No.
gosh.
And see, I can notice here, it doesn't have Frisbee and Cooter on it, but Frisbee and Cooter would have a name tag
Ooh.
on the
As they
placard.
should.
So
Engraved name tags. Yeah, this is...
You could just do stuffed animals in remembrance of. We don't have to actually have Frisbee and Cooter.
There should be... Okay.
no, the Frisbee and Cooter stays alive in this place.
We should just create... If I had Facebook, I would create a private group called Who Sells This? And it's where we just sit and discuss this kind of thing. You know the
Yeah.
Facebook groups that are like, are we dating the same person?
Oh, those
It's like-
things are nuts.
Is this person selling in your area? And what are they selling?
Oh my gosh.
And we just go, is this real?
It seems
We
real.
verify if they're real.
Can we check before this episode is over if she has said anything?
Well, we don't know if it's
Yeah,
a
I can
he or
check
she.
that. But
Or
just
The way it's spelled looks like the way a guy would
A guy
spell
would
just
spell
chicken.
it.
because I searched for this, like 2 things down, there was a picture of some geese, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
then here's the description.
Oh no.
In the coming weeks, I will be selling eggs and meat locally around Lee Summit. All of our livestock are maturing. As soon as they produce, we will have chicken, duck, goose, quail eggs, and as well as quail and rabbit meat and rabbit furs. Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace.
That is someone who has not graduated to a website yet.
www.rabbitfur.com.
All right.
Okay.
I am
I get the rabbit fur and put it on top of Cooter and
No.
Frisbee.
Uh-uh.
Cooter and Frisbee. the names. Come on. Oh.
One of my best friends growing up and when I was a kid, her nickname was Cooter, which is awful.
Yikes.
Awful, but that was her nickname. Anyways,
Yeah, horrible.
I want to know which one is Frisbee and which one is Cooter. I'm assuming Frisbee's on the left and Cooter's on the right. Can you ask her?
What is the one on the right? What remind you of? What kind of dog is that, do you think? Because the first one looks like
Like a little
some kind of like
terrier?
Yorkie
Or-
type
yeah.
thing. But I don't know what the other one is. It looks like he's white. It's although the description says brown, but they're like a
I
light
wouldn't say
tan.
a doodle because he's got straight fur, but he's very
not a
like
doodle.
he's not a doodle,
He's not a doodle at
but
all.
he's a furry face with like a dark.
He's probably
nose.
like a terrier
A-
of some type,
Yeah.
but was probably like a medium-sized dog, like 45 pounds. Maybe a Schnauzer breed.
Oh, I could see
Schnauzer?
I could see a schnauzer in that. You see that schnauzer? I would see a schnauzer.
Frisbee.
There's a Frisbee and Cuda. Frisbee and Cuda are dogs. They're frozen.
There was one time where my dad was in town not too long ago, and Maria started talking like that.
I didn't start
6-year-old.
it. You started it. Don't put that on me.
You started it at church days before.
Oh, yeah, that was me.
But it was really funny. We were talking about going on a road trip, and Maria just looked at me and Chelsea and goes, "You want to go on a road trip?"
We changed all of our R's to W's.
Yeah. So Frisbee and Kuda.
Frisbee and Cuda. Wow.
Anyway, my dad suffered through an entire dinner. My dad and my boyfriend suffered through an entire
were-
dinner of us talking like
They were
that.
champions. They were super troopers.
They were good sports.
They were good sports.
Yeah, okay.
All
well,
right.
We're lame.
Okay. Now into the nitty gritty, guys.
Now to the good stuff. So I have an interesting story for you all. Are you ready for this?
I feel like, do we need eerie music? Do you want me to hum some eerie music? No.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Probably not.
Go on.
Byron's like, I don't have any of that.
He's
No.
looking at his board.
Shockingly.
Wait.
No, for
wait.
having a conspiracy theory podcast, it's kind of weird you don't. Oh, there we go. Is this your intro
this yours?
music?
Oh.
No, he says no.
Sorry.
That's what I play when somebody has a theory.
Ah.
Theory time.
Theory time. This is very vibey and I like it. Very like 80s. I'm into it. Okay, well. It's so funny doing this with music.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so let me tell you about somebody that I have gotten to know over the internet because I've never met this person, but I am related to them.
Here, that's the kicker. Not
That's
only
the
is this a
kicker.
story, the kicker is
This is somebody
bloodline
who's-
relation.
Somebody who's within my family.
It's the one
All
on
right.
Maryl Wilson.
He has since been paroled, so I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to that. All right. Let's go down to Derby, Iowa.
Side
Which
note, how
is-
weird is this? I read a thing about Derby, Kansas with a weird rule.
I know, I saw
And this
that.
is coming in
I
Derby,
saw it.
Iowa.
Derby, Iowa.
Maybe don't live in Derby.
Which is near Sheraton, if I am correct. Yes. Because that's where, like, most of the side of my dad's family is
okay.
from.
Got you.
Okay, so Eric Query is his name. And there was a neighbor, 16-year-old Stacy Lynn Halfredy, a friend of the Query family who also lived in Derby, Iowa. And according to an article in the Des Moines Register, Eric and Stacy were described as being like brother and sister type of
or just that-
relationship.
Okay.
My dad thought that they were dating. Like, he was like, oh, he killed his girlfriend. And it was like,
Huh?
no. Then
Okay.
when I went and looked at the court records that I could find, that's not the case. Stacy was described as a friendly, well-liked girl who had no bad habits. She was an 11th grade student in the Mormon Trail community system. So I pulled a lot of this from his first appeal because it was really, I couldn't find any like trial transcripts or anything like that. And if I couldn't find the police report, I probably would have had to pay money, but I decided today that I was doing this story. So I was like, I'm just short notice. So anyway, she passed away at the Quarry household on April 13th, 1991, as a result of 2 shotgun blasts fired 1 to 2 feet away, one striking her in the back and the other in the head. Stacy was wearing Stacy was wearing a school jacket with Mormon Trail softball lettered on the back. She was fatally shot with a 12-gauge shotgun, apparently approximately 4 inches above her waistline and immediately below the letter T in softball inscribed on the back of her letter jacket. Additionally, after Stacy was on the floor, she was again shot with a 20-gauge shotgun in the back of her head. Both wounds were inflicted with identical ammunition and from a distance of less than 18 inches.
What?
According to the sheriff, Sheriff Lowe, the results of Stacy's autopsy show no signs of a struggle prior to her being shot to death. So that's interesting.
That's very interesting.
According to these court documents, Eric was 15 at the time. He was home alone, and he gave varied accounts of the crime. Originally, he stated that Stacy came by looking for his sister, but he told her his sister wasn't home, and he returned to his bedroom. And that a short time later, he heard 1 or 2 shots and found Stacy shot and an unknown man in his kitchen with a gun. Eric said the man escaped on foot and described his path. And then, in a later version of events, Eric admitted that he shot Stacy. He said that he heard a skirmish in the kitchen, grabbed his shotgun, and found an armed man holding Stacy around the neck. He said that he attempted to shoot the man from a distance of 6 to 10 feet, but hit Stacy. It had been raining and muddy outside, and there was no evidence of the unidentified man that could be found. Let's park the car right there for a second.
Yeah, parked.
How are you going to tell the police that somebody you just randomly... Okay. You're in your house. Your neighbor, like family friend, comes through looking for your sibling. And you're like, nope, not here. Then you walk away, and then all of a sudden, some random stranger barges into your house and is, holding her hostage. And then you shoot at him and hit her, but you hit her and she got shot in the back.
Well,
she got shot in the back.
Well, and then even the aspect of like the autopsy says it was from 4 inches away, and then there he was talking about
close range.
Yeah, and then there he said he was 6 to 8 feet. Where'd it go?
Yeah, 6 to 10.
6 to 10. So it's that doesn't line up.
It had been raining and muddy outside, and there was no evidence. So there was no muddy tracks in the house. There was no footprints in the mud outside or anything like that. Very suspicious.
Doesn't seem to line up.
Yeah. So in the appeal, it said, Eric never had problems with the juvenile justice system. The district court had waived. Hold on a second. Oops, maybe oh, yeah. Okay, that's fine. The juvenile court, the district court waived the juvenile court jurisdiction because of the nature of the crime and because it concluded the prospects of rehabilitation in the juvenile system were not good. Quarry was then found guilty of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole in 1992. Byron, you have thoughts?
I'm assuming there was a trial.
Yeah.
So he pleaded innocent.
I think so.
Okay.
And so he then was convicted, got life imprisonment, no possibility of parole at age 15.
And he was tried as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
do we know a motive?
No, that's the interesting thing.
That's where I'm kind of like, this just seems weird.
Yeah. So listen to this. Let me just give you some more of the facts, and then we'll talk about that.
Okay. I'm listening.
Query then appealed his conviction in September of 1993 for the following reasons. The district court abused its discretion in waiving juvenile court jurisdiction over him, and it abused its discretion in excluding testimony from Reverend Lutz and abused its discretion in sentencing. He also claimed his trial counsel was ineffective in failing to object to biographical information of his victim, which is whatever. At the waiver hearing, when they waived the juvenile part, the juvenile court found that in their system, Query would most likely be placed at the Iowa Training School at Eldora until he reached 18. A broad range of rehabilitative counseling, therapy, and other services would be available, but those services and all jurisdiction over Query would terminate completely once he turned 18. So he was 15 when he was convicted. So if Query were placed in the adult system, all of the Eldora services and facilities were also available to him still. And so
Because of his age.
Yeah. So
Okay.
since these services are available to both systems, the juvenile court considered whether the time available in juvie was sufficient to effectively rehabilitate him. And J. David Hook, an experienced chief juvenile probation officer, felt strongly that that amount, like 3 years, is not an adequate amount of time. Contrary testimony was received from psychologist John Garfield, who visited Query on 4 occasions and interviewed him for no more than 6 hours. And his conclusion was that Query was rehabilitable based on the fact that Garfield found Query did not fit the mold of the conventional stereotype of a child who typically runs afoul of the system. And because of his MMPI test score, which the MMPI is the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, which is a psychological test that assesses personality traits and psychopathy in adults. So apparently he tested to be rather normal, like
just like a normal.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder what I would test on some of those, just out of
Yeah. So the
like,
court.
what is their basis? Like their baseline. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Keep going.
They'll have. I bet if you look into it, it'll give you like the
Their ranges or whatever.
Yeah, and the standards that they set that the people have to meet based on their. I don't know what the test is, like if they get interviewed or if it's like a
Like faceted.
or if it's a series of different types of tests.
Yeah, you're looking at ink blot and stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Right.
I have no
You
idea.
might fail, Maria.
But the court affirmed that, so they agreed. They agreed with the appeals court agreed with the district court that they're like, yeah, I mean, because all those services are available to him, like if he got tried as an adult anyway. So
Right.
it's fine. We agree with that. Then the issue of the exclusion of Reverend Lutz's testimony. Okay, so listen to this.
Listening.
Query claimed the district court abused its discretion in excluding this testimony. So Query proffered Reverend Lutz's testimony that 2 years prior to her death, Stacy had told Lutz that her father sexually abused her and threatened to kill her if she ever refused him. Query argued this testimony is relevant because it shows a motive for someone to kill Stacy. Although Query admitted that it wasn't Stacy's father who tried to kidnap her, which I don't like kidnapping one. He claims that the person who did may have been hired or otherwise procured by Stacy's father to commit the crime. The state objected on the grounds that it was hearsay, not relevant, and the potential for prejudicial effect outweighed any probative value it might have. So they're basically saying, like, we don't know what type of like Stacy's not here, so we don't know what her state of mind was if she did make that statement. We don't know if she has been known to lie to people or embellish things. We don't know like her type of character. All we're getting is like this secondhand statement or whatever. So,
Or did she really even say it?
or did she even really say it? But that's also kind of weird that a pastor like comes up and is like has this statement that she came to him and said that. So that is interesting. But Query argued that that this testimony was admissible under Iowa Rules of Evidence 804B5, which is one of the residual exceptions to the hearsay rule. And then the trial court held that it was inadmissible and they excluded the testimony. So the jury never heard that, never saw it, nothing. The Iowa Court of Appeals denied Query's claims, so he continued to sit in prison. So fast forward to September of 2012, he filed a motion to correct an illegal sentence. And after conducting a resentencing hearing, the district court sentenced Query to life without the possibility of parole after he served 35 years. So it was like, you're getting life without the possibility of parole. And then they're like, no, we're going to resentence you. So first you got to serve 35 years, and then you're getting life with no possibility of parole, which is like, what?
What's the difference?
Exactly. You serve 35 years, and then your life sentence starts. That's what they were saying.
Versus like, what if
you have
my
a life sentence? Because sometimes life, I guess life, depending on how old you are, really could mean anything. And here's some things that because I am not a lawyer.
She's not a lawyer, but she's aware.
Yeah. Not aware, but I have, what's the word? I have gotten some information from people I know.
There you go.
That would be able to help explain things a little bit to me.
Okay.
But I was like, that's weird. Okay, so then I've got to cut to State versus Louiselle.
Okay.
That is a case about Yvette Louiselle, who was convicted in 1988 of first-degree murder and life without the possibility of parole, stemming from a 1987 stabbing death of Keith Stillwell. And at the time that she committed the crime, Louiselle was 17 and 5 months old and a student at Iowa State University. So
Go Cyclones.
they're saying 17 and 5 months old because she was under the age of 18.
Under
She
18.
wasn't an adult.
Okay.
She unsuccessfully appealed, I think, a few different times because she was basically like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Life. She also got life without parole. Excuse me, I'm going to yawn.
You all right?
I'm fighting a yawn.
Dang it, you made me yawn.
I know, sorry. In 2010, the United States Supreme Court, I know I went to, this will all make sense here in a second. The United States Supreme Court held that Amber Alert on my phone.
I too. I was like, I just looked.
Held that the Eighth Amendment prohibits life without parole sentences for juveniles who commit non-homicide offenses. They must be afforded, so the court said, juveniles who commit non-homicide offenses must be afforded some realistic opportunity to obtain release because they're so young. They're under the age of 18. So seeking to extend this to include juveniles convicted of homicide, Louiselle filed a motion to correct an illegal sentence in 2011. And while the motion was pending, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down mandatory sentencing schemes that impose life without parole while failing to afford juvenile offenders, even those convicted of homicide, an individualized sentencing determination based on specific factors the court identified in Miller versus Alabama in 2012, that courts must consider a minor's potential for rehabilitation. So as a result, Louiselle was resentenced to 25 years in prison. And as a result of that, in October of 2015, the Iowa Supreme Court vacated the sentence for Eric Query and gave him 35 years. And then that was appealed. On March 7th, 2013, his sentence was then commuted by the governor of Iowa, Terry Branstad at the time, to life without the possibility of parole or work release for 60 actual years. So I was like, okay.
What? I was just like, what?
You said or?
Yeah. So no parole, no work release. He just had to do 60 literal years of time. And I forgot to add this part, but it was like no credit for current time served was to be like added. So he was already in prison for like 15 years. So they're like, okay, do 60 more and then you're out of here.
So basically his whole life.
Yeah. Either way.
Either way,
like,
it's
what?
still...
That didn't really do anything. And then the court did this, the governor did the same thing pretty much for Louiselle too.
Okay.
But it was basically like, we just have to correct these sentences because the Supreme Court said we can't give them life without parole or whatever. So they changed it a little bit, which I found interesting. I then looked him up on the what is it? Is it the Iowa Offender Registry? Something like that. It was basically it's just a database you can search.
See what people are.
You can look up
for.
parolees and things.
Okay.
And oddly enough, so this is what I found was weird, was like, because the last thing that I could find, so my stuff was it was hard to find some of this information and then like piece it in proper order.
Right.
But he was granted work release in October 2023, and then he was actually paroled July 1st this year.
So he did get out.
So he's out on parole. And I was like, I wonder what he did, because I couldn't find anything further, like that he appealed again. I couldn't find anything like recent, but I had a friend of a friend pull up some information, and apparently he's like absolute squeaky clean record within prison, like caused no trouble, model inmate,
Served his time.
never did anything to upset anyone. The only thing that was to note was like let's see, hold on.
Man, that's crazy.
What did it say? Sorry, I'm scrolling.
Oh, you're good.
It said he has to work on healthy boundaries with women. Probably because you've been in prison your whole life, and so you don't know how to interact with women. But he's been a pretty ideal inmate. And then this person said that they found the police report from 92 and that it was hard to follow.
Huh.
And said it was kind of a weird, insane case. So I think there's probably more details in there, but I wasn't able to get that information prior to recording this. So maybe we can touch base with it again if I can get access to that.
We can get, yeah.
But it also said that he sued the state of Iowa in 2000, and I wasn't able to find any information on that. So I don't know where that came from or what that was about.
Or what happened.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy, just a little close to home, though.
That's kind of weird.
You know, just even being like, this is my family.
I don't know I don't remember what, like my dad and I were talking, and this was way back when I wanted to start my own true crime podcast, and I had like gotten recording stuff and all that. And I think I did like 7 episodes, and I was having so many issues with getting it to upload on any freaking platform. So the only platform that it was available in was, it was called Podbean. So it's on there. But anyway, I was just like, oh, I want this like little passion project. I'm going to do only Midwestern true crimes and, discuss random stories. And some of them were like some of the bigger ones too, but I hadn't gotten into those before I had stopped. But my dad, like when I was talking about them, my dad was like, oh, I have a cousin that's in prison for murder. And I was like, what?
We're like,
when were you going to share this? What do you mean? And he was like,
kind of need something to know.
Oh, we don't like to talk about it.
He's like, oh yeah, killed his girlfriend. And I was like, what?
What?
But from what I understand here, maybe he wanted her to be his girlfriend.
And she was saying no.
Because I'm thinking.
What were the age again? He was 15?
She was 16 and he was 15.
15 and 16.
Yeah.
And whose house?
His house.
Where's the parents?
Mom and dad are not there.
Okay.
Nobody's there. He's there by himself.
But they came home shortly after with groceries.
I don't know.
I don't know about that part.
I haven't seen the police report.
That's just weird.
But maybe it was one of those of like, I'm not going to date you, and
theory of maybe he
pops off.
Maybe he was like, hold on, let me check and see if my sister's still here. Comes back with a gun.
Yeah.
And then like threatens her. And she had no defensive wounds or anything like that.
Probably just happened so fast.
Yeah. So I'm assuming maybe she tried to like turn to run away and he just shot her, or don't know. But yeah.
That's weird because it's one of the things like we'll never know.
Yeah. And it's so weird. Oh, also like her whole
if he's
family.
out now, we could get him on the podcast and ask him. Since you're family, we'll probably make that happen.
Let's not.
I guess he's done his time. He's good in prison.
I guess he has a girlfriend. The friend of a friend was able to.
We don't have to have him in studio.
Oh.
We'll get him by Skype.
He won't say squat. No one who ever actually commits a crime.
We could
straight
ask
up
him his
says-
opinion on
But he can't be tried for
Frisbee
it
and
again, so it doesn't
and
matter.
That's true.
So tell the truth.
We could
That's
just
true.
You've done your time. Let me know what happened that night.
Yeah.
Let's walk through the details.
Tell us.
let's ask him his thoughts on Frisbee and Cooter.
Okay.
We know you've been in for a while, but
her
what's
her whole family has a restraining order against, like a no contact order against him.
I mean, I feel like that would make sense.
It's all her family members and then like their kids and stuff.
I couldn't imagine losing a child at 16.
No.
I could not fathom that.
No. I just find it so bizarre because, okay, so I was talking to, it was my brother-in-law who's an assistant county prosecutor. I was like talking to him about how, I was like, what's weird is like when I was reading through the appeal and everything, there was, I mean, I skipped over like some sections of it where it was talking about, like character interviews. Like they're like, what kind, was he like a kid that was in trouble a lot at school? And basically like he wasn't a super great student. It said that he just didn't like pay attention, wasn't a super great, which is like neither here nor there really, because you can be a really smart person and do bad in school just because you're not being like stimulated properly or,
you're
whatever.
bored or
yeah. So that was neither here nor there, but it was like his parents were like, he was always a good kid, always did what he was told. And his, you know, friends, family, everybody was like, yeah, he never was like violent, no one ever saw him like get into fights, get into anything. And there was one article that I came across going back to the motive part was that the prosecutor, whose name is escaping me right now, I want to say it was like Goldberg or Goldstein, something like that was the name. They had asked him, what do you think the motive was? And he was basically just like, we're not present. We haven't presented that and we probably won't. And it's like, what? Because I think that his position was the state is like, there's no way that this kid didn't do this. So we don't need a motive because it happened. And there was one person in the house and there was one person that died. And that's it.
Is what it
So, yeah, it was interesting.
makes me wonder too if like he thought he was just playing around at that age and didn't think it was. I don't know.
No. You're in
'Cause it was kinda point
southwestern.
blank.
You're in southwestern small town Iowa.
You would have known how to use it then.
You got guns and stuff around. You know what they're for, and you're not playing around.
That's true.
In my opinion, because I think about the guys we went to high school with.
Oh, they all could have.
Yeah,
built a gun.
Sheraton was like an hour, a little over an hour southwest of where we went to high school.
Oh yeah, they would have been able
maybe
to.
an hour and a half, maybe not. So
I mean, hunting would have been huge. I mean,
Yeah.
all those things.
yeah. So just very strange.
Yeah.
And then my brother-in-law was like, because I said that, I was like, everyone gave like, it's just bizarre because everyone said, you know, he was mostly just like a
Like a good
normal
kid.
person. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, good people don't execute others. So
And I was like, you're right.
fair enough. Good point.
Doesn't mean they don't ever get like angry enough, but they don't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Ugh.
I wish there was like a motive established.
Yeah. Maybe we could just ask him that if we get him on the podcast. Like, we don't need to know if you did it or not.
No, we do
but
need to know because, like Byron said,
it-
you can't be tried for it again. So you might
That's
as well
true.
just tell us.
Tell us. And then what was the motive?
You know, it'd be really weird. Like, hi, I'm a relative of yours. I've never met you, but I have a podcast.
But I have a podcast.
And I want to talk to you.
Podcast is how to live a godly life. Can we talk to you about the murder of...
Do you want to hear the first episode? Because I have a lot of speculations. You're going to hear about Frisbee and Cooter first. Yeah.
What if you got a Frisbee and you named your Frisbee Cooter?
Ew.
Like if you were a Frisbee golfer? And
Yeah.
it was like...
Yeah, we got it. We
Alright,
got it.
anyways.
But yeah, that's the story
That's
of a relative of mine.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I guess
That's
it's my
nuts.
dad's cousin, so I'll just say my dad's relative.
Girl, you party dad.
I don't know. if my-
50%.
I don't know if my dad ever met him. Did my dad meet him?
Mm.
I don't
Oh.
know. Hard to say.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah.
That's
What did you guys think about that? Mm?
if you would like, I wonder if we could post a picture of Frisbee and Cooter. Like if we screenshot it after it released so people could see.
You could have it as your actual
Profile picture.
yeah, or this episode's thumbnail.
This episode's
Yeah.
thumbnail.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And
Oh
and
my God.
the title of this episode could be Frisbee and Cooter.
Frisbee and Cooter.
Frisbee and Cooter. Season catch up. Yeah, you'll see it on
Oh,
Instagram with that.
gosh.
Yep. For sure.
All right, keep your eyes out for their picture. But
All right. Well, I think that's all we
Nice.
got.
That's
for
all
you
we
guys
got
today.
for you
We
guys.
Decided to, just do some random stuff.
with a little true crime always involved in there.
Yeah, we'll never not incorporate true crime in our catch-ups in some way, shape, or form.
Guys, thanks so much for listening. We will talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.